Is your philosophy drill, baby, drill?
No, my philosophy is to make money.
That's Rex Tillerson, the current United States Secretary of State. Before he entered the White House, Tillerson was the CEO of oil and gas giant Exxon Mobile, a position he held for 10 years. During his time with Exxon, Tillerson was awarded the Order of Friendship by Vladimir Putin for negotiating an estimated $500 billion deal with Rosneft, a Putin-controlled oil company.
My relationship with Vladimir Putin, which dates back almost 15 years now, I've invested a lot of money, our company has invested a lot of money in Russia very successfully.
It allowed Exxon Mobile to drill in an untapped Russian portion of the Arctic. The project came to a halt when the U.S. introduced a round of sanctions against Russia. Nevertheless, Exxon continued working with the chairman of Rosneft. This ultimately led to the Treasury fining Exxon Mobil $2 million for violating them.
I have never lobbied against sanctions, personally. I continue to believe
the company you directed did.
To my knowledge, Exxon never directly lobbied against sanctions, not to my knowledge.
While CEO of Exxon, Tillerson used an email address under the alias of Wayne Tracker. He allegedly used the account to communicate with company board members about risk management issues relating to climate change. Tillerson used the account for 7 years, and Exxon reportedly lost a year's worth of those emails. Exxon also lost Tillerson when Trump tapped him for Secretary of State, despite the fact that Tillerson had no government experience, which is a first in modern history for that position.
You left a very good job for this, I want to tell you.
Tillerson came at the high recommendation of former Secretaries of State Condoleezza Rice and James Baker, as well as former Defense Secretary Robert Gates, all of whom have benefited financially from Exxon Mobil contracts. But not everyone wrote a letter of recommendation. Tillerson's close ties with Putin raised eyebrows among many.
Based on all this information and what's publicly in the record about what's happened in Aleppo and the Russian military, you are still not prepared to say that Vladimir Putin and his military have violated the rules of war and have conducted war crimes in Aleppo.
Now, those are very, very serious charges to make, and I would want to have much more information before reaching a conclusion.
There is so much information out there about what's happened in Aleppo. I find it discouraging, your inability to cite that, which I think is globally accepted.
Tillerson, unlike his boss, does believe that humans are affecting the climate through greenhouse gas emissions. However, Tillerson said that it's not clear, quote, to what extent and therefore what can you do about it. Since his nomination, Tillerson has been undercut by Trump around nearly every corner. While Trump promised Tillerson that he could staff up the State Department without White House interference, Trump interfered. When Tillerson attempted to act as a neutralizer between Qatar and Saudi Arabia, Trump quickly sent out a tweet for his overt support of Saudi Arabia. Trump also went over Tillerson's head on the Paris Accord.
Do you personally believe that the overall national interests of the United States are better served by staying in the Paris Agreement? If so, why? And if not, why not?
I think we're better served by being at that table than leaving that table.
Tillerson's built-up frustration forced him to take some time off and gather his thoughts in his home state of Texas. After a few days, Tillerson reclaimed his position and popped back up in a rare appearance in a State Department briefing. A month later, Tillerson appeared on Fox News, where there was once again a noticeable gap between himself and the president.
I don't believe anyone doubts the American people's values or the commitment of the American government or the government's agencies to advancing those values and defending those values.
And the president's values?
And the president speaks for himself, Chris.
Are you separating yourself from that, sir?
I've made my own comments as to our values as well in a speech I gave to the State Department this past week.
A recent report revealed that Tillerson allegedly called Trump a f***ing moron after a July 20th meeting with the president and had to be talked out of resigning. Tillerson denied the claim regarding his resignation, but would not address whether or not he called the president a moron.
Could you address the main headline of this story that you called the president a moron, and if not, where do you think these reports or ideas are
I'm not going to deal with petty stuff like that. It is intended to do nothing but divide people. And I'm just not going to be part of this effort to divide this administration.
The president has since challenged Tillerson to an IQ test face-off.
Did you undercut the Secretary of State today with the IQ comment? No, I didn't undercut anybody. I don't believe in undercutting people.
Although Tillerson is no stranger to scalding temperatures, the growing fire between himself and the president appears to be much hotter than that Texas heat.
I'm here for as long as the president feels I can be useful to achieving his objectives.